Welcome back to Lore of the Multiverse, where we don't just list history, we live it. Tonight, we're traveling across hundreds of thousands of years to witness the exact moments when everything about being human changed. From the first stolen sparks of fire to the digital pulses racing through your phone right now, these are the 15 biggest turning points in human history, told as the story of us. What we risked, what we survived, and what we chose. If even one of these forks in time had bent the other way, your world would be unrecognizable. Ready? Let's begin. 1-5. The mastery of fire, approximately equals 1 million years ago. Night on the African savanna is not quiet, it breathes. Eyes glint beyond the grass, cold seeps into bone. Then lightning strikes a tree, and a band of early humans does something no creature has truly done before. They keep the flame alive. A stick becomes a torch. Dry grass becomes fuel. Fire turns raw meat into calories our bodies can unlock, shortens the hours of fear after sunset, and pulls us into circles where stories are traded like tools. Around embers, memory becomes tradition, and tradition becomes culture. Fire hardens spear points, smokes pests from shelters, and lets us push into colder lands. What if we never tamed it? Our brains might never have grown so energy hungry. Our nights might have stayed short and terrified. Fire was our first technology, and the first time we bent nature to our will. 14. The birth of language, approximately equals 100,000 years ago. Before words, warnings are gestures. Plans die at sunrise. Then syllables begin to stick. Sounds latch onto ideas, names, directions, time. You can tell someone what happened last winter and where to meet tomorrow. You can describe a place you've never seen and a danger you can't point to. Language lets us stack knowledge higher than any brain can carry, myths that bind strangers, instructions that outlive teachers, rules that shape behavior even when no one's watching. Gossip becomes social glue, song becomes memory you can hum. If language never crystallized, we'd still be clever animals, great at today, terrible at forever. 13. The agricultural revolution, approximately equals 10,000 BCE. For ages, we chase herds and follow seasons. Then in river valleys, someone plants and doesn't leave. Domesticated wheat and barley sprout, goats and cattle stay near. Food surpluses appear like magic after months of worry. Permanent homes rise. Graves gather their own neighborhoods, pottery stores last summer's sun as grain. Specialization blooms. Farmers, potters, traders, warriors, priests. New problems bloom too. Fences to fight over, hierarchies to enforce, pathogens to share with our animals. But agriculture gives us predictability, and with it, the first compound interest of civilization. One season feeds the next, and the next feeds ideas. 12. The first cities, approximately equals 3,200 minus 2,500 BCE, walk into Uruk at dawn. Vendors set clay tablets of accounts, ox carts creak, temple steps glow. Cities concentrate genius and friction. Streets knot strangers into economies. Walls promise safety and provoke sieges. Bureaucracy, annoying, immortal, keeps track of everything: grain, labor, loyalty. Plumbing is invented to move water, then power. Writing is refined to move decisions, then dreams. The city is a multiplier and a gamble. One drought or war can starve tens of thousands. But pooled together, the human mind becomes an engine. If cities had failed, complexity might have remained seasonal, brilliant camps instead of continuous civilizations. 11. The invention of writing, approximately equals 3200 BCE. A scribe presses a reed into wet clay, and the world changes. At first, writing is math with mud, inventories, rations, taxes. Then it becomes stories, laws, prayers, medicine, maps. Time itself gains persistence. You can build on the dead without knowing their names. Empires scale because orders can travel farther than a voice. Science scales because findings can outlast the finder. If writing never hardened into systems, memory would remain oral, resilient, beautiful, lossy. History would be fog. Law would be, who says so? Knowledge would be forever local. 10. Law goes public, approximately equals 1750 BCE. A black stele in Babylon declares, these are the rules. Hammurabi's code isn't equality, but it is visibility. Law steps down from the throne to the plaza. Now the idea exists that power should be predictable, justice legible, and penalties proportioned. Contracts become contracts. Disputes can be appealed to something colder than anger. Across centuries, this mutates into constitutions and human rights, the belief that civilization should be built on text, not tempers. Without public law, stability remains the charisma of kings, and fairness the luck of birth. 9. The Axial Age, approximately equals 800 to 200 BCE, in a strange global rhyme, new questions rip across cultures. In India, the Buddha trades a palace for a path. In China, Confucius teaches order through virtue. In Greece, Socrates demands reasons, not reputations. In Israel, prophets measure kings against justice. These traditions don't just tell people what to do, they ask why. Ethics becomes debate, not decree. The self becomes a project, society becomes a conversation. If this flowering had withered, power might still claim holiness without argument, and we might mistake conformity for morality. 8. Rhodes, Silk, and Empire. 27 BCE 476 CE and beyond. Rome paves stone into policy. Han China threads roads into silk and paper. Persia knits provinces with couriers. Empires are logistics made political, law, road, language, tax, army, and identity braided together. Ideas ride trade routes like cargo. Algebra crosses deserts, Buddhism crosses mountains, Christianity crosses seas. Yet empire also means extraction, revolt, and borders that outlived their makers. When Rome falls, Europe relearns scarcity. When Han fractures, legitimacy must be reinvented. Empires show a truth: scale is power, and fragility. Without them, we might never have built beyond clans. 7. The Black Death, 14th century, a bacterium boards a ship. Within years, whole parishes are gone, fields go fallow, languages lose words for the dead. Up to half a continent's people vanish. Catastrophe is not a turning point by virtue of horror, but because of what follows. Labor grows precious, serfs bargain and move, stagnant orders crack, skepticism and experiment creep back in. The plague is a scythe and a reset. If it hadn't cut so deep, feudal bonds might have held another few centuries. The spring that would launch the Renaissance might have stayed wound. 6. The printing press, 1440s. A hand press in Mainz multiplies words like seeds on the wind. Suddenly a monk's decade can be a printer's day. Literacy climbs. Dissent finds paper. Identical copies let scientists argue across borders and agree on what they're arguing about. Luther's theses travel. Star charts converge. Manuals teach the same skill in many towns. Censorship invents whack-a-mole. The press makes knowledge scalable and power nervous. Without movable type, the Renaissance stays elite, the Reformation stays local, and science remains a correspondence among the blessed. 5. The Age of Exploration, 15th-17th centuries. Ships become hypotheses tested against horizons. Navigators stitch the world's coastlines into a single map. Spices, silver, ideas, and empires whirl in new orbits. The Columbian Exchange rewrites ecologies. Potatoes save lives in Europe. Horses transform the Americas. Diseases devastate whole peoples. Trade turns oceans into highways and battlegrounds. The modern world system, global, unequal, inescapable, switches on. If those crossings had never converged, cultures might have matured separately, brilliant and sealed. Instead, we all share one stage, crowded and loud. 4. The Scientific Revolution and Enlightenment, 16th-18th centuries. Telescopes refute certainty. Microscopes humble arrogance. Experiments dethrone authority. The method hardens. Observe, hypothesize, test, repeat. Newton nets the cosmos in equations. Boyle bottles air into law. Descartes doubts his way into clarity. Locke and Voltaire demand governments justify themselves. Rights become nouns, not favors. Revolutions erupt, messy, hopeful, contradictory, and the idea survives them. People can reason their way to better orders. Without this twin quake, we might still confuse tradition for truth and power for proof. 3. The Industrial Revolution, 18th-19th centuries. Coal becomes time itself, burned to accelerate everything. Steam squeezes labor into pistons. Factories turn craft into systems. railways erase distance, telegraphs teach lightning to speak. Lives lengthen, goods cheapen, cities explode. So do smog, slums, strikes, and the anxious question: are we masters of machines, or parts inside them? Industry births the middle class and the labor movement, the department store and the assembly line, the miracle and the mess. If this spark hadn't caught, progress might still be handmade, beautiful, slower, for fewer. 2. The World Wars and the Nuclear Age, 1914 to 1945, aftermath. When industry marries war, the scale of death becomes industrial too. Trenches grind a generation, total war mobilizes whole societies, genocide stains the century. Out of horror come antibiotics and radar, rockets and codebreaking, the UN and a vow: never again. Then, mushroom clouds. Humanity gains the power to end itself. Deterrence becomes peace by terror, science becomes both savior and suspect, and geopolitics learns to count to midnight. If the bomb hadn't been born, the Cold War would have been different, or forever hot. 1. The moon landing, 1969, on a grainy screen, a white boot presses lunar dust. For once, the scoreboard of the Cold War reads like a poem: we left. The moon landing is a proof of concept for species-level ambition. Integrated circuits, satellite comms, weather forecasting, global navigation, all get a shove from the space race. More than tech, it's perspective. Earth seen whole, borderless, delicate. If Apollo never happened, we might still dream of the sky as fantasy, not engineering. Present. The digital revolution, late 20th century present. Computers shrink, networks mesh, the internet dissolves time zones, smartphones stitch identity to algorithms. Libraries fit in pockets, communities form at 3 a.m., reality gets filters. Work, love, protest, propaganda, everything acquires a digital twin. Abundance of information becomes scarcity of attention. Truth competes with virality. Privacy becomes a negotiation, not a right. If this had stalled, the 21st century would look like a faster 20th. Instead, we live inside the feed, and the feed lives inside us. Future. The future turning point, your lifetime, maybe, call it the fork we can still choose. Will it be AGI that outthinks us, or tools that amplify the best in us? Fusion that lights cities without smoke, or scarcity that ignites them? Gene editing that erases disease, or redraws what human means? A climate pivot that averts tipping points, or an era defined by retreat? The next turning point isn't waiting in a museum. It's waiting on your decisions and mine. History isn't a story we watch. It's a system we update. Those are the bends in time, the moments that made your world possible. Which turning point do you think mattered most, and which one did I miss? Drop your take below. If this journey rewired how you see history, like the video, subscribe to Lore of the Multiverse, and tap the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Until then, keep your eyes on the past, and your hands on the future. The next turning point is closer than you think.